Here with me in the studio, our international affairs editor, Armen Georgian. So, Armen, what is in this letter to Donald Tusk?
Well, two key things, really, Claire. Firstly, that Britain is seeking to delay Brexit until June the 30th. And the other thing is that she says it remains my intention to bring the deal back to the House, as into the House of Commons. So clearly no change in tactics or strategy, if you want to call it that. Absolutely no change whatsoever. She does sort of hint at a way, in this letter to Donald Tusk, she hints at a way that she might be able to bring the deal back to the House, because of course she acknowledges that the reason it couldn't be brought back to the House this week was because of the position of Speaker John Bercow, who said it has to be fundamentally different to bring it to the floor of the House again. She's asking President Juncker, the President of the European Commission, to approve supplementary documents that were agreed in Strasbourg, and that, according to Theresa May, would basically bring in changes to the government's proposition to Parliament. So it sounds like a sort of technical manoeuvre. I'm not sure at all whether these changes would actually pass the test that John Bercow has set out this week. That's to say that any new proposition to Parliament must be new in substance rather than just in wording. I'm not at all sure that that passes the barrier, but she's proposing, I guess, a sort of technical, legalistic way through this process. So it's not clear that the House Speaker will accept to bring the motion back to the House of Commons, and it's also not at all clear whether members of the UK Parliament will actually back this deal if and when it is brought back for a third vote. But essentially, Claire, yes, she confirms in this letter to Donald Tusk that she wants to bring this deal back to so-called meaningful vote number 3 in Parliament as soon as possible.
And as I said before, it's up to the other 27 EU members to grant this delay. We're starting to get some reactions from other EU members. We've got the French government spokesman saying just a short while ago that Theresa May needs to provide a clear explanation for why she wants this delay. And she says that the spokesman says there's absolutely no guarantee of getting one. So this letter, just without 9 days to go before the official deadline, is it making the situation better or worse?
It really depends, Claire, on what happens at this EU summit on Thursday and Friday. I mean, ultimately, the EU doesn't want to be blamed for a no deal that would hurt European businesses as well as British industry. And clearly, there's also a risk of going in for serial extensions, because then the EU gets to look weak. It also provides no certainty then for businesses on this side, on the European side of the channel. So the EU is going to be in a real bind here, whatever it does. We're going to have to see what happens this week. But essentially, if you look at this session in Parliament, we're getting these live pictures, it really is Groundhog Day, exactly the same arguments being made in the UK Parliament. So if today's proceedings are anything to go by, if the EU does grant this extension, we're going to see a continuation of exactly the same arguments, the same deadlock, these points which have been made hundreds of times now by the government, by the opposition benches. It really doesn't look like anything can actually change in terms of the core dynamics in this crisis between now and June the 30th.
All right, thank you very much for your analysis, Armen.